All right, how is it going, my magnificent sons of bitches? And I'm here to do a pretty quick video. I've got another quick video coming out. It'll be tomorrow, about 8:30ish. I thought I had it set for today. It's about the A&W wrestling ratings. So a wrestling video, will come out tomorrow, about 8:30ish, I think. I had to do it on Mobizen, but it will be uploaded to all my sites. Uh, just going over the A&W wrestling ratings. However, this video is going to be about, it's fucking self-explanatory in the title. The left needs MAGA. And it's ultimately funny going onto these sites and, listening to these people on Facebook and Twitter and any of these other sites, other than like True Social, which is just nothing but a shit posting site for right now. Going on Twitter and going on Facebook and listening to these people sit there and cry MAGA, 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 MAGA. Like, Donald Trump like stole their water or something. It's really kind of funny because the left has no arguments. They have no arguments. What do you can't argue on the economy. You can't argue on really women's right to choose, in all honesty, after pushing these mandates and still pushing the mandates through these secular media organizations, which nobody really pays attention to anymore. And ultimately, we look at how they've over-censored the internet at, this point. Most of these accounts seem to be stock accounts. They seem to be media shills. Not really a lot of autonomy going on, not a lot of free thought. Most of the responses seem to be choreographed through fake stream, lamestream media. So I meant, whenever you're talking about everyday working Americans and America as a whole, as a large, that's not involved in, any kind of media bias, their job doesn't rely on any kind of government subsidies from one direction. They would have a job if the government went down. Ultimately can't identify with anything going on right now in the mainstream media. They certainly can't identify with anything that Hollywood's coming out with, as you've seen by the Little Mermaid that is getting ratioed. It's funny because they get these pseudo-intellectuals on Twitter, and like you're supposed to follow these pseudo-intellectuals on Twitter, even though probably about 90% of you are banned on Twitter, who had their account terminated or whatever the hell. But you're supposed to take these pseudo-intellectuals on Twitter response and take them as some sort of, well-sourced academia major. And ultimately you look at it and it's a joke half the time. They're trying to explain away the dislikes for The Little Mermaid. And ultimately, I wouldn't care one way or the other. I don't care really at the end of the day. It doesn't really bother me what color The Little Mermaid is. It's not made for somebody like me. I'm not the target audience. That's why I didn't go over there and really dislike the video. I think I accidentally disliked one video while I was taking a snapshot of the pictures to show these goofs that, want to call me a racist. You know what I'm saying? That's a whole lot of motherfuckers out there that you're calling racist. That really is. It's the majority of the population that you're calling racist or bigot or, any kind of phobe at the end of the day. It's not just me. In fact, I have nothing to do with it. It has nothing to do with me. The Little Mermaid thing has absolutely nothing to do with me other than pointing out the hypocrisy. Disney has been playing these little woke charades for years now. And if it probably ultimately wasn't for that leak of the press conference and them going against the Florida Parents' Right to Education Act in Florida and them labeling it the Don't Say Gay bill and going cathartic because these parents do not want any kind of what you would consider, social, sexual proclivities explained to their elementary school kids. And the sad thing is that this could be dismissed as some sort of hyperbole at the end of the day. You could sit there and dismiss this as hyperbole, but the left double down on their stupidity. You have these teachers come out on their little TikTok things. Nobody vets it to see if these are really teachers. Nobody vets it to see if, what institutions these teachers teach at or anything like that. We don't know a lot about them, but the libs of TikTok come out and they post all of this, grotesque stuff that these teachers advocate for. However, with that being said, the left double down on this. This shows you that their base is out of touch. Anybody else that was on the left, if they were ever on the left, any kind of common sense liberal would have already went ahead, said, we really need to go ahead and get to the bottom of all these teachers coming out and trying to, push any kind of sexual depravity onto kids. This would be wrong, even from a leftist standpoint. But the leftists have already drawn their line in the sand, and there's no turning back for the current Democrat Party. Ultimately, they are collapsing in on themselves. This is exactly what's happening. And all of their little, I guess, what you would call proxies out here that advocate for leftism right now on the internet right now, they're not doing them any favors. And particularly whenever you look at how the left have thrown their weight around, particularly because, like I said, all of this stuff is on Silicon Valley. YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, and you got to look at the current state of California. I've had discussions with people about California, and the Californians are the most disillusioned people in the world. The leftist, as a base, is the most disillusioned people in the world. They'll sit there and blame everything. Everything is the red states. It's all the Republicans' problems. Their life would be much better if, everything was blue and commie like they are. However, this isn't going to solve anything. You know what I'm saying? They always blame it. Oh, it's the red welfare states that take it. No. If you're that stupid to go ahead and continuously pay these taxes, these high taxes in California, then California is going to keep on taking them away from you. It has nothing to do with the red states. The red states get their federal funding to go ahead and put into their infrastructure, to go ahead and build their roads, to build their highways, to go ahead and put this into their facilities and whatnot, and to make sure that their states don't suffer from like wildfires or floods or various other things. The sheer fact that these Democrat-ran areas and these Democrat-ran cities always have these issues, you'd think that at some point in time you would stop, hold the phone. We need to hold these people accountable. We shouldn't be having wildfires for like 6 months on end in California. We should already find a more effective, efficient way of fighting these wildfires in California. But no, every freaking time you start to have these wildfires, they start to spread. Same thing with New Orleans, same thing with down there in those cities and whatnot. Whenever you have flooding issues, flooding problems, it's not like, they haven't had floods in like Houston and in New Orleans and in these leftist cities for, eons now. They should have found a better way to go ahead and fix those levees, to go ahead and make sure that these streets and cities don't flood. But they don't put any effort into that. It's the same thing with like Jackson, Mississippi and Flint, Michigan and all these other places. But guess what? It's always the Republicans' fault. It's a cheap tactic. They failed. You failed. You failed at the economy. Right now we have record inflation. And mind you, that inflation is going to continue at the percentage that we're at right now, 8.5% of inflation just this year. That if I'm sitting there looking at this properly, you're going to have 6 more years of inflation. So go ahead and get used to that. Those prices are going to raise up by the amount that they inflated the freaking currency by, which is 61% since 2012. Whenever you are 2008, whenever the 2011, whenever the Democrats took office and started printing out all this quantitative easing. Since they started using QE3, QE4, QE affinity, ultimately this is whenever your currency, and you're going to have 6 more years of that. They put these sanctions on what they claim Russia, and they sit there and befoozle everybody. Um, ultimately, right now, with everything to be considered, the Democrats are not a viable option for anybody that's an independent. You could just go ahead and take that option off the table. Now, the Democrats will sit there, and since they're a marginalized group with the biggest fucking platform, since they own and operate YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, they have the loudest voice out there, but they damn sure don't have the most. I think I've stated before. I assume that it's about 20, 25 million of Americans probably take being a Democrat seriously. And, some people think that I'm overestimating on that. So that's me being generous. I wouldn't be surprised if it's about, 30 million Americans. But ultimately, it's not the 50 million Americans that the Democrats pretend to hold. Certainly, this ends up being the issue right now, is that they don't really have to have the majority. They just have to use these platforms to make people assume that they have a majority. They don't. Nobody cares about one way or the other about Roe v. Wade. That's not an important issue right now. What is an important issue is people that have to drive to work day in and day out in these SUVs, and they're putting like $80 into their SUV, when this time last year it took about $40 to go ahead and fill up that same SUV. That's what people are concerned about. Whenever they are concerned, and the price of bread was, like $1.50 last year, and it's almost $3 this year, that's going to be a concern. People are going to take issues with this. People are going to want solutions to this. And certainly nobody cares about your little Ukraine garbage at all. Nobody cares. Nobody gets behind your little fucking Medvedev or whatever proxy that you have over there where you're trying to sit there. And to be honest with you, you keep pissing Russia off. Who's to sit there and say that Russia's not going to start to sit there and say, hey, look, this is the issue right here. They start, lining up troops on your fucking border, just like you've been trying to do to them. They start pushing troops through Canada. I don't think that they would, and but let's just say that they did. They started pushing troops to Canada. They get with their buddies China and the BRICS nations, and they say, hey, start putting troops on that Mexican border. Then what are you going to do? You're going to have to rely on all of these people that you've shit on, that you've taken advantage of, that you've used as tax cattle to come in like Captain Save-A-Ho and try to bail your ass out. And, people like myself, I don't know if I'm so willing. Hey, I'll give you directions. They live right there in fucking D.C. You know what I'm saying? Go up there to fucking Martha's Vineyard or wherever the fuck. I don't care. I have no use for them. And that's what a lot of people are going to sit there and say. Nobody's going to want to go ahead and support these buffoons that take every chance to go ahead and take advantage of everybody else's generosity. I think that everybody has been more than reasonable in this country for the Democrats to get their head out of their ass, to stop with this globalism bullshit. And this isn't just an American thing. It's going on overseas. It's going on in Europe. It's the outrage is starting to manifest. We see in Canada, it's starting to manifest in Australia, it's starting to manifest in New Zealand, and all of those those countries in the Netherlands, it's starting to manifest. We see what's going on in Sri Lanka and all these other countries. So ultimately, this is it. This is your reset. You wanted a reset. This is exactly what's going to happen. And ultimately, what we have going on now, and this is the thing that really gets me about these media shills, because they don't understand a damn thing. They're kept, the fucking feds, the people that are in charge in the State Department, they feed these motherfuckers shit and keep them in the dark. We know how it rolls. Um, However, you're really messing with fire at the end of the day because we know there's no, I can't, honestly tell you the full metric of the Democrat Party. I can only tell you what I see in algorithms as far as like it pertains here to the internet and what I see in likes to dislikes, whether it be on Twitter, whether it be on YouTube, whether it be on Facebook, and say that, this is what I speculate the maximum extent of this party and how many people are, active participants in this party. However, I can pretty much come to the solid conclusion that 80 million people MAGA base is pretty accurate. It's pretty close. You know what I'm saying? It may not be exactly that many, but it's pretty fucking close to 80 million people as a total. So you have these, anywhere from 20 to 25 million to 30 million at the most people that are Democrats that are trying to agitate not only that 80 million base will just go ahead for shits and grins, say that that's the base for the Trump movement, the MAGA movement, is 80 million people because it's close. You can give or take a few million. It's close to 80 million. And on top of that, they go ahead and agitate any kind of Republican, moderate, that probably is a never Trumper Republican. They agitate those motherfuckers. So you're probably agitating another, say, 10 to 15 million at the most Republicans that are diehard Republicans at this point in time. So that's another 10 to 15 million. Then you go out, you go after the independents, the anti-federalists, the anarchists, and you start shit with them too. You know what I'm saying? So now it's not only the MAGA people, let's say 80 million, let's say it's not the 15 million, Republicans now, that's 95 million that you've already pissed off. You go ahead and piss off the anarchists and you go ahead and piss off the independents, you're probably looking at a good, another 20 to 30 million people easy, if not 40 million people. So now you're really getting yourself in a hole, so the Democrats dig themselves in a hole. And the Democrats are stuck in this delusion that they still carry relevance, and this ends up being the issue. So they're used to being the ones going ahead, having the only platform in Hollywood to go ahead and point the finger and call everybody racist and call everybody bigoted and call everybody homophobe and lecture people. They used to be the only people that would have the platform to TV. So you would have Sarah Silverman or you'd have Jon Stewart come out and they would sit there and they would cherry pick people and they would put it, but nobody watches their cable anymore. Nobody watches their entertainment anymore, only because the effort. Nobody with any real talent, first off, is not going to go to Hollywood. They're not going to go ahead and, go into that sick society and work whenever they can just do freelance, independent journalism, independent entertainment. And it's a lot more effective. They're a lot more efficient. They can work with who they want to work with, produce their own content. It's just a lot easier. So more people are making money here on the internet. Hollywood is not essential right now for entertainment, and so you're getting less quality of writers and stuff like that. You're getting less quality of material for them putting out. Your actors are nothing more than just remedial trends at the end of the day. So they don't have that influence in Hollywood anymore. And as far as like media goes, the journalists go, your comedians are not funny, and your journalists, they're always the last ones to know anything. Even here on YouTube, the quote unquote, gatekeepers here, they're usually the last ones to actually cover any kind of real events. It always starts with channels like this right here, with channels like mine and various other channels that go out, they cover stuff in their own area, and then they put it out there, and then, ultimately these bigger, channels will use it, and ultimately, it's kind of like a network right now. And ultimately, the mainstream media is kind of totally cut off from this network. The left would die without Make America Great Again. Yeah, and ultimately, this is exactly what this video is about. It's the only boogeyman that they have right now. And as soon as the fucking people who buy into the whole Donald Orange Man Bad Trump derangement syndrome, as soon as they pull their head out of their ass, because like I said, ultimately I would prefer Rand Paul anyways. That would be my first option. I would love to see Rand Paul be put in I would like to see Rand Paul become Speaker of the House in some way, form, or fashion. Any way we can make him Speaker of the House, that would be great. Let's go ahead and impeach Biden and Harris, and then put in Rand Paul. Lord knows I'm a Ron Paul guy, anyways. So if I can't get Ron Paul, I'd like to get Rand Paul in. And ultimately, I think that would be a hell of a lot better than, say, voting for a Trump. I would probably prefer DeSantis over Trump myself, personally. But, I don't know a lot about DeSantis. I know what he's done in Florida. I like what the man is doing. I'm just not sure how much of Rand Paul, I know what I'm getting. I've known Rand Paul for years. I've known Ron Paul for years. So I know what I'm getting out of those guys. I know what they're going to bring to the table. I'm not exactly sure what Ron DeSantis would bring to the table as a president. Great fucking governor, though. I'm glad you had the balls to make a video like this. Rand would be awesome. He tears up Fauci. Yeah, that was my choice whenever Donald Trump ran the first time. And everybody's like, oh, you're just a MAGA guy. You're just a MAGA guy. I'm not even sure if I would vote for Donald Trump if he ran in 2024. However, I know that everybody else that I know would vote for Donald Trump. Everybody. I don't know one person that would vote for Joe Biden. Even the people who voted for Joe Biden because they believed in your bullshit are not going to vote for Biden. Again, the people who bought into the Make America Great Again being the new Ku Klux Klan back in the days, back in 20 are not the few that you had to get to go ahead and fearmonger. And then you still, like I said, whenever you look at the fucking 2020 campaign and how pathetic these people are here, not just, the people who run and operate fucking YouTube, the people who operate Twitter, the people who operate Facebook, that censor everything, you're going to sit there and say, the sheer fucking fact that you've had to spend 4 fucking years on a guy like Donald Trump, a built hill for years, just, kind of this guy that was always seen as a fucking asshole, right? Hillary couldn't beat him because she's already ruined her reputation so much. She couldn't beat newcomer Barack Obama, but if you were going to rig an election, you should have rigged it against Obama. You should have made Obama, if the Democrats were smart, they could have had the House for probably 16 years. They could have. They could have went ahead, implemented Hillary Clinton, implemented her, screw Obama over, rigged the election against Obama. This would at least give your BLM a little bit more credence, because the white nationalists would have screwed the black politician out of that slot to be president, and it would have probably given more sympathy to your BLM. However, you could have screwed over Obama, given that 2008 term to Hillary, give her another term by, doing what you people do, and then ultimately you could have given Obama the Tulsi Gabbard approach by having him come out and ultimately do exactly what Tulsi Gabbard is doing right now to Joe Biden. Slow Joe. And then ultimately they could have kept the House. Because in 2008, Hillary Clinton probably could have beaten John McCain. John McCain was that weak of a candidate. And this is before Hillary still had the corruption attached to her name. But the biggest thing that the Democrats had over Hillary at the time was Bill Clinton's affair. That was it. And you could have easily went ahead and rigged that primary instead of rigging it against Bernie, who was a popular candidate on the left, much like Ron Paul is for the right, or the libertarians for the most part. But the real libertarians, not the fake libertarians. I think Trump would be good vice president, so there are no term limits. I love Trump, but I don't think he could win. So I mean, I don't I don't really think that Trump was that great. I didn't like his position with the red flag laws. I didn't like the fact that he did the bump stock bans. I didn't like his Operation Warp Speed. I don't like the mandates that he pushed back then, you know, that were ultimately taken advantage of. He set this administration up to do exactly what this administration does. He didn't set any kind of and ultimately it could be that 4D chess that supposedly Donald Trump likes to play. He knew that the economy was going to collapse. He could have probably done something about it. He still allowed the Democrats to play their stupid little Democrat games in 2018 and in 2020, which we know exactly what those outcomes were. Now, the Democrats are left holding on to the ball. So, any of this shit that you plan to go ahead and put on Trump, you now have to take ownership for, and rightfully so, because it was your fault, regardless if it was bipartisan. And I guarantee you, most of it probably was bipartisan. A lot of these policies come from the Democrats. Ultimately, we know exactly who's trying to collapse the economy. We know that they both work hand in hand. Everybody could sit there and say that it's two sides of the same coin, but at least you can hold Republicans accountable. You can't hold Democrats accountable whenever they own Hollywood, they own social media, they own mainstream media, and ultimately they could decide on who they're. So it's essentially a communist party. And this ends up being the issue right now. They're a one trick pony. They're absolutely done. And they're going to end up finding out exactly if they don't, ultimately, Trump was a mandate. It was the biggest troll job there ever was. A lot of these independents, a lot of these people that are anarchists, a lot of the people right now that shit on Trump. Right now, your high impact flicks, you're black-pilled, myself included. You know what I'm saying? We all got on that bandwagon. We all did the MAGA thing. We all went ahead to degrees on how many people. I thought that, Trump had potential to be up there on Mount Rushmore. Pretty much, even if he was a mediocre president, he had the potential to go ahead and with as bad as Obama was, he had the potential to be up there with your Ronald Reagans and your Theodore Roosevelts and your various other, my favorite is Jefferson. He had that potential, but he dropped the ball in a lot of ways. The Republicans had control of the House and the Senate whenever he came in. But he dropped the ball with your HR 5736. He didn't repeal any of that. Your HR 8151, or 5181. He didn't repeal that. He didn't do the propaganda bills. He didn't, or the media counter propaganda bills, the social media bills. He didn't agree. He didn't do any of that. He didn't repeal any of it. Agreed. But I predicted in 91 that a businessman to run the country at 12 years old and got suspended for 3 days because they even hated the idea I spoke up in class during the group projects. Sucks. Yeah, see, whenever, and probably about that time, pretty close, I used to argue with my history teacher all the time because I was a Ross Perot guy. That was who I would go for. So it had to have been in 92 because he ran in 92 against Bush and against Clinton. So whenever I was in school, it was about I voted in 96 for Perot, so I had to have been 14 at the time. So I used to argue with my history teacher about, he was a Bill Clinton guy, and I was a Ross Perot guy, and we used to argue and get into these debates all the time. And we've seen the effects here in Texas, let alone before, of these progressive policies, and it sucked here in Texas. We lost a lot of jobs. We had a lot of crime. Whenever you go and look up, the leader in murder across the country, who led the nation in murder, it'd be my area right now, Waco, Texas, led the nation in murder in 1994. And now you can't recognize Waco. If you were to take pictures of Waco in 94 and look at it now, so you got it too, LOL. We trolled the teachers, LOL. Yeah, yeah. Fuck. The teachers, and like I said, used to, but we're kind of like come from the counterculture era. We are the counterculture era. The Gen X has always been like the DX, Rage Against the Machine, that was us. Turk 1984 and shit. That's exactly who our generation was. So yeah, we wasn't, oh, we're going to be the teacher's pets. I was just the fucking opposite. So, but I mean, yeah, I think that even back then I knew that the left and the Democrats were full of shit. I've never been a part of the Commie-crats. I've always saw them as superficial people. And then looking at my own area, run at the time, because California used to be Texas and Texas used to be California. If you would have taken if you take pictures of California from the 80s, late 80s to the early 90s, and then you were to compare them today, then go to Dallas and then Waco and all these other areas in Texas and take pictures of Texas in the late 80s, early 90s, and then compare them to today, it would look like they just switched. Because back then California was largely Republican for the most part. They would have, breaks of Democrats, but they were largely Republican. And Texas was largely Democrat. After Ann Richards, we went ahead and we flipped red. And California flipped blue. It just shows you how the elitists tend to go ahead and implement this stuff. And ultimately, they want to go ahead and reverse back. It don't matter. I still am rooting for Donald Trump and Ron DeSantis as vice president. And see, I'd much rather have, like I said, Rand Paul than actual Donald Trump. Like I said, I think Donald Trump is kind of like we know he's an extension of the establishment. And, after his 4 years, I gave him 4 years, he'll be like, he's 76 right now, so he'll be almost 80 it's 2 more years. He'll be 78, same age as Biden is now. And ultimately, right now, Ron Paul is more coherent than both Donald Trump and Joe Biden. You go listen to Ron Paul on the Liberty Report, and the man is still as sharp as a tack at 87 years old. It's insane. He's certainly more coherent than our current president. So at least Ron Paul is a man that probably has a plan. He's probably had a plan for the last 40 or 50 years. And he's been spot on with everything. So if we had Ron Paul for at least a term or two, if we ran with Ron Paul over Mitt Romney, we'd be in a lot better of a situation in this country than we are right now. But the Democrats got to keep it about MAGA because they don't have anything. They don't have anything. They have absolutely nothing to offer the country. This is why they got to sit there and do the fucking student loan, which if you don't understand what a fucking loan is, you don't deserve to be in college if you don't know the meaning of a loan. But they have to do the loan forgiveness shit. They have to do the fucking arbitrary climate bullshit tax. How many years have they had the G7 summit? Was it 1973 was the first year that they did that they started all of this global climate bullshit? How many trillions of dollars have they taken in? Whether it be the greenhouse effect, whether it be the ozone layer, whether it be global warming, whether it be the fucking climate change right now. How many trillions of dollars have they taken in? Haven't done a damn thing for your renewable energy. having cured cancer, you know, this is the government. The government spending helps the economy, you stupid schmuck. This is what the left will say. Well, how many advancements? You get advancements in technology, but nothing else. You don't have any fucking, you don't have any renewable energies. You don't have any green energy. That's, logical. Go ask the people that'll freeze to death in Europe this year how they like your green energy. Go ask them whenever we're putting sanctions on Russia, trying to instigate a World War III. Absolute fucking sociopaths. Why would anybody vote for you? We are the last of a dying breed. You are a smart guy, buddy. You're from Waco. Wow. I knew you was from Texas, but the place where it all happened, he's probably want to keep his fortune. He lost a third of it. Well, see, like fucking Rand Paul actually went to Baylor, and Baylor's in Waco, so he's a Baylor alumni. So and so is Joe Jorgensen. There's actually quite a few Baylor alumni in politics right now. So I mean, it is what it is. Some of the Baylor students, whenever I used to work at the bar for Baylor, because I used to be a bouncer at one of the bars, it's like you should come to Baylor, man. You would do great here. And I'm like, yeah, I'm not going to spend $80,000. I went to the military. I got my education. I got paid for my education. Donald Trump Jr. and Eric Trump ever run for president? I don't know. I don't know. I like Donald Trump Jr. Well, yeah, I like Donald Trump. I like DJ. I like DTJ better. I don't really know a lot about Eric, but I like Donald Trump Jr. for sure. That dude's a fucking riot. I like him as a person, but I don't know if he would be a good president. I don't know if Trump is a good president. I haven't seen him do anything. There's nothing that Trump has done that makes me. He's an okay president. He was a stable president. Beto's going to get his ass kicked. There's no way that Texas is gonna fucking. They would have to do a lot, dude, and that would be extremely dangerous if Beto ended up winning that. And I don't even like fucking Abbott. I'm not gonna vote for Abbott, but they're taking their fucking lives in their own hands because Beto's already lost like what 2 or 3, half a dozen elections in Texas. Texas has already told him no, we don't want your kind of fucking. If it would have been somebody coherent like a Tulsi Gabbard, maybe they would stand a chance. I think that if Matthew McConaughey would have ran on the Democrat ticket, he could have won governor of Texas. But Beto's not going to win. He's our senator in our great state of Kentucky. Yeah, 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 right. Yeah, go look it up. Rand Paul. But I mean, Ron Paul was our senator here in Texas for years. Beto needed cops when he demonized them. And he was at some sort of heavy metal concert, so I guess he's trying to win your vote. What was it, Iron Maiden, I think it was? I think he went to an Iron Maiden concert, but I'm not sure. I just saw the post on Twitter, and people are like, oh, all politics aside, Beto's waiting at an Iron Maiden concert. Respect. Well, fucking going over there to pander. Should have rode his fucking skateboard. But I mean, like I said, he's a joke. I don't think that Beto and a lot of these people are serious. Like Nina Turner, she's not seriously gonna fucking contend for a seat. A lot of these people that just jump in, and Beto's one of them. There's no telling how much money Beto has made on his little war chest, just losing fucking elections and stuff. Technically, I should run for something. I don't have to win. I know I'm not. I'm gonna run as an independent anyways. Yeah, we are the what I consider Texas. I consider Tennessee the Texas of the East only because they have a lot to do with our independence and like a lot of shit with Tennessee and Texas, like the history and stuff. I consider Tennessee more of the Texas of the East, but Kentucky, they're pretty fucking close. We probably like the Oklahoma of the East because really at the end of the day, Oklahoma and Texas are pretty much the same damn state. We say the same damn shit. We have these little feuds, but ultimately we're the same damn people. Uh, President Joe Biden is a criminal mastermind, a manipulator, egomaniac, and abuse of power. Biden is like a Hill authority figure, a TV antagonist. And An incompetent one at that. Eric Johnson worried about a NFL team. Y'all are doing a lot of stupid shit up there in Dallas. I saw something and I forgot what it was, but it was something like really dumb. And I'm like, well, Travis, he praises Eric Johnson, but I haven't seen it. I haven't heard it yet. Still a lot of ignorance going on up there in Dallas, but it is what it is. Um, I forget what it was too. I was like, shit, does he even know about this? But seeing a ton of tents in under bridges near the old Pilgrim's Pride in South Dallas are today. Yeah, that's what they bring. That's what they bring. No solutions whatsoever to any of this. Don't mess with Texas and hillbillies like me. Yeah, there you go. And like the thing about like Tennessee, this is great because I was telling Kev that he should do a movie and basically have it be like that movie Southern Comfort with Powers Booth, Fred Ward, and you know what? Peter Wolf was in it, but not for very long. But uh, and it's called Southern Comfort. And I said he should remake that movie, except all the soldiers, except for the sergeant, are social justice warriors, are inexperienced. And he should flip it, and it should be going through the Ozarks, messing with all the people in the Ozarks. And that movie would be it would pretty much sell itself. But it is what it is. I told Kev he should probably make that movie just for fun, shits and grins, just to piss off the left. And you know, I think it would be funny. But yeah, Southern, you've seen it then, huh? Yeah, it was a pretty decent movie. It was a pretty decent movie. But yeah, you think about all them soldiers, right, in that movie, and you could flip them. You could flip them. You can make LGBTQ, BLM, civil rights activists out of them and stuff like that, and flip their characters. Betsy Price, county judge, Tarrant County, Glen, all rhinos. I heard. I don't know. It's been years since I've lived in Tarrant County, so I wouldn't. That's Fort Worth. So it's been years since I've lived in Tarrant County, and so yeah, I know that fucking Abbott is pretty much a rhino, and that the only reason that rhino is that Abbott is sending these uh, immigrants to D.C. is for publicity for his president campaign or his governor campaign, pretty much, because he knows that he's already pissed off half of Texas with the energy shutdown bullshit and the layoffs. Between those, he didn't protect anybody. He allowed these companies to go ahead and lay everybody off. So, you know, but that's bad whenever the Republicans are running a third term for Greg Abbott, one of the weakest governors as far as like rhinos that we know of as governor. And as unpopular as Greg Abbott is, he's still going to squash Beto. That's the best candidate they can run here in Texas. And give me a break. You're not even trying to win. Not even trying. Yeah, if Don Huffines would have won, I would be voting. I would be voting for Huffines. That's exactly who I wanted to. I did go out and I voted in the primaries and I voted for Huffines. When Huffines didn't make the ticket, I'm already saying, yeah, I'm not going to go vote. That's it. I'm not going to vote. I want to live in Texas, that or Tennessee, maybe Ohio, if I relocated. I wouldn't mind living in Alaska, dude. It's getting pretty. And from what I hear to Kev, this is the same thing with Tennessee. Uh, because Kev lives in Tennessee, and from what I hear, it's the same thing. But here in Texas, we have so many of the people moving to California. Basically, the Californians are moving into Dallas. We're fucking Travis's area. They moving into Dallas, and then all the people in Dallas, they move into these other areas like Hillsboro, Abbott, and all these other towns. They come and move into Waco and Temple, which they're growing exponentially. Waco is growing. So is Temple. Holy shit. They need another. They need to create some more stores because they're being overrun because we're getting overpopulated here. Well, what happens is like your Waco and Temple areas move into the more rural areas, which is actually where I live at, and they move out in these areas. And now You can't even recognize this. The area I live at used to be like 800 people used to live out here. We're heading on into 2000. It's been absolutely insane. The rapid growth we have going on here, and I hear the same things going on in Tennessee. Ain't Blake from Tennessee? Yeah, he is. He's friends with me on Facebook as well. So if you could probably catch him on Facebook, Scott. But yeah, he's from Tennessee, or he was last time I talked to him. He was still in Tennessee. Um, but he doesn't really talk about. He's more into spirituality, I guess. He's kind of into like New Age mysticism and stuff, which is okay. He does what he says. We have disagreements every now and again, but I still got a lot of love for Blake. Blake is all right. Uh, Dallas is full of yeah. That's what I'm saying is that they all moved to Dallas. And then all the people from Dallas, like I said, they moved to the rural areas. They moved to like Garland, they moved to like Weatherford, and then they moved down here to like Waco. Because Waco's in between Austin and Dallas pretty much. So you got a lot of the Californians. So all the people from Dallas and Austin, they moved to like Weatherford, Garland, and then into Waco, Hillsboro, and stuff like that. All the Californians that move into Austin, all those people come in, they move to like Temple and Waco and Belton and stuff. So it's making our population grow too. So understand that whenever you have all these Californians moving to Dallas, the Dallas people are moving in the surrounding areas, and we're getting a lot of blowback from that as well. Uh, do you like Darren Bailey? I don't even know who that is, to be honest with you. Like, I haven't kept up with politics. I haven't kept up with the bullshit as deep as I should have anymore. A lot of it's just like meh. I'm not even gonna fucking vote in my state election. So I mean, it's gotten to that point to where it's like I don't like either candidate. I don't like Abbott. I don't like Beto, and I don't care. I don't care. Even if Beto wins, the only thing that Beto could possibly do is hold that office for a full 4 years if he was lucky, but he wouldn't get anything done. Texas and Florida are my favorite states. Also, I love New Orleans and Louisiana. New Orleans, Louisiana. The only bad thing about New Orleans is that they're run by lefties too, and they have a lot of. Well, you have a hurricane coming, and then that's it for New Orleans. They're not going to put any effort into it. The Democrats take that money and that funding that they're supposed to put into their infrastructure, and they put it right into their pockets. They used to do the same thing here whenever they ran this place. That's why we would always have issues here. We don't have the issues that we have anymore. Now, like I said, you look at the infrastructure is getting better. And it's because we're predominantly red. We're in like one of the reddest areas and one of the reddest states right now. And ultimately, we have better jobs. We have higher paying jobs here. Our roads are better. They're not shitty. Uh, the crime is starting to go back up here, but that's because of all the people moving here. So crime is starting to become a problem, but that's because the area is becoming so populated here. Law enforcement, not so much in Waco, but definitely in like Temple and those areas, Colleen, their issues because they're growing so fast. It's becoming an issue. Like I said, Waco, it's probably about staying status quo, but its population is growing too, especially with Baylor. I will be going to New Orleans on October 14th through the 21st. Ah, you're going to New Orleans right before my birthday. Um, El Paso is pretty, or close to the. Is El Paso? I think it's very lovely out there. I think that it's nice out there. Um, I think it's nice. If you're going to visit somewhere in Texas and you want to have fun, and the best combination of fun and just being a beautiful city, I'd say San Antonio. They're all blue areas, but San Antonio would probably be your best one to go to. But El Paso is very nice. I like the mountains, so that's why I like El Paso, West Texas, and stuff like that, because they have a lot of mountains out there. It is hot though, but yeah. South Texas turns red, aka Republican, and I wouldn't be surprised. Those people over there on the border, they've had enough of the leftist bullshit too. And that's one of the things that I said is that most of the freaking people coming across the border, most of the Latin Americans, they're Catholic. I know a lot of them. They're Catholic. They're not going to get with your whole fucking Roe v. Wade stuff. And the more that they come across the border, the more they think that they're going to go ahead and scapegoat these people into voting for them, the worse it's going to end up being. Nancy Pelosi is done after November. Yeah, I believe that. I believe that it's if they pull the shenanigans, because you can't say the shit on YouTube, but if they pull the shenanigans that they've been pulling over the past few years, then they're going to find it to be a very, very difficult issue right now because nobody cares about Roe v. Wade. I bet the food is amazing. I need some mountain. I like red, and I used to be blue. Yeah, I never was blue. Well, technically, I was blue probably back in the 80s, but that's only because the Republicans were blue back in the 80s. The Republicans used to be the party of blue, and the Democrats used to be the party of red. So I guess you could say I was blue back in the 80s, but that's only because that's the side that the Republicans were on. Now, I guess the color red was too close to communism. The Democrats were too close to communism to give them the color red, so they had to switch. So they made the Democrats blue and made the Republicans red. But if you go back and watch those old votes from the 80s, the Republicans were blue. Yeah. Yeah, everybody, when you're young, everybody thinks, oh, yeah, socialism and free shit and stuff like that. Oh, yeah, we can go ahead and do this and give to all this stuff. And it doesn't work that way. And in fact, you'd probably get more charity. You'd probably have more efficiency in taking care of the homeless. And you'd have more opportunities with less government programs, with less taxation. You'd probably have more people giving, and then this would go into private corporations' hands. They would have an incentive to go ahead and do the job cheaper, do it faster, and to go ahead and make a profit, do it quicker, and to do it right, to have high quality, so they can go ahead and make more money than you would for the government, who doesn't have any. They could take all the time that they want. They need the homeless so they can justify having their positions and taking your tax dollars and all this stuff. The more tax, the more they tax, the less effective the dollar becomes, and that's just the God's honest truth. If we had less taxes, if we got to keep more of our income, we could probably solve a lot more of these issues through charities and other people, just because I think that people would want these issues to be fixed. I mean, to be honest with you, if I see a lot of homelessness in this area, kind of like Travis, I don't want to see this homelessness. I wouldn't want to see it. So if somebody's sitting there saying, oh, we're taking up some sort of charity to do something for the homeless, Travis may chip in an extra $5 if he keeps his whole check. If I'm making $200 more a check because of all the taxes they take out. If I'm making $200 more out of a check, then I'm probably going to say, oh, well, if we have a lot of homelessness here, if we have all these tent cities, if there's crap all over the street, hell yeah, I'll go and chip in about, $20 or $30, maybe chip in $20 or $30 per month until we get it fixed. I would probably do that, and there's more incentive for the people taking that money to go ahead and get those fixed, because they would be held to a higher standard than the government's going to hold itself to. That's just the way it is. Because people would stop giving if they're not fixing anything. Just like right now, if nothing is getting fixed, like in California or New York, where they talk about the subway systems, if the government isn't fucking fixing the subway systems, you can't stop paying them taxes. They still demand those taxes. But I guarantee you, if if that was all, people saying, oh yeah, we're trying to fix the subway systems, we're trying to make them safer, and I'm giving them $20 this month, and they don't do anything with that 20. If they don't fix the subway systems, then I'm not giving them $20 the next month. Why would I? Ron DeSantis is going to win Florida governor. Oh yeah, that's going to be easy. That Christie guy or whoever the fuck he's running against, nobody knows who he is and nobody cares. And he's an idiot. And to be honest with you, the one candidate that I don't really like, but I think is going to win Pennsylvania is Dr. Oz. He's running against the dipshit too. Christy Nome, Kim Reynolds, Ada Hutchinson, good governors. Yeah. And looks like Carrie Lake is going to be the next good governor. I think she'll win Arizona. I think that I looked up the primaries, the midterms for the midterms and stuff, between the Democrats and the Republicans. And that's another algorithm that I look at is the voter turnout for each base. And definitely the Republicans, not just the MAGA. Now, the MAGA, they won a lot of these races, but I wasn't really worried just about the MAGA. I was looking up the whole Republicans because at the end of the day, the Republicans are going to jump on board whatever candidate that is a Republican. Doesn't fucking matter. They can sit there and say that they're never Trumpers, but they're going to jump on the MAGA candidates because they want to go ahead and take that victory, as a party. So, yeah, the turnout was like, in some cases 2 to 3 times higher. And it's consistent with the algorithms on Twitter and whatnot, or on YouTube. Whenever you go and look up these videos of these politicians, it's like a 3 to 4 to 1, advantage for the Republicans in almost every algorithm that I've ever seen. John McCain was really a rhino. So was Mitt Romney. Yeah, and I didn't vote for either one of them. I didn't vote for the Democrat or the Republican. I voted for the weed guy. I voted for Gary Johnson. Screw it. If I can't have my candidate, I'm going to vote third party. I hope Darren Bailey becomes the next Republican governor of Illinois. And y'all really need one. Y'all need a Republican fucking mayor also in Chicago. Y'all need to get rid of Beetlejuice and get a real good, solid Republican mayor that'll do some cleaning up in that city. It wouldn't take me that long to go ahead and get shit right in fucking Chicago. But people are going to call me racist and bigoted and this other stuff, but I'm not going to give a shit because you didn't elect me to sit there and be liked by you. You elected me to fix your city. So that's exactly what the fuck I'm going to do. And so, yeah, y'all really need to go away from the leftists altogether in Illinois. That whole state needs to flip red. That whole state desperately needs, even more so, I think, to a degree than California and New York, because California and New York, they have their populations. You know what I'm saying? Outside of Chicago, the population for Illinois isn't that much. So I mean, I think that in its location and where it's at, California's on the West Coast, New York on the East. That makes a lot of difference too. But I think that definitely Illinois, they're kind of like in that same position that Michigan was in with Detroit. This is why Michigan flipped red, is because of the issues that Detroit was having. And Chicago is going to end up being the next Detroit if they don't do something. Minnesota needs to flip red as well. California needs to flip red. They're about as close to communism as any state I've ever seen in the country. California is about as close to communism. New York isn't even close to being as communist as California is. And fucking New York is pretty fucking commie itself. But California is completely it's almost about to be completely lost from the United States. So, yeah. Anyways, hey, I'm going to go ahead and wrap this video up only because the StreamYard eats up my phone battery and it's almost dead right now. I wasn't planning to go this long. I didn't even think my phone would last this long. But, yeah. Anyways, I just wanted to go ahead and do a really quick video. I'll have an A&W wrestling video coming out. Like I said, Friday. I'll be going over the ratings and exactly why A&W wrestling is starting to fail. And why it'll probably continue to fail. I already recorded it. I had to do it, like I said, I had to do it on I had to do it via the Mobizen app, but I'll upload it. It'll upload to all 3 of my sites because I got it coming live through StreamYard. So it's not going to be a live video, but it's a pre-recorded video that I just uploaded here, going over some of the failures that is AEW. So, anyways, you people tell me what you think. You like, sub, do the shit YouTube tells me to do to get over. And for now, I'm out.